With over 20 years in providing quality service, Apex Radiology is Jamaica's premier diagnostic facility. Our services include CT scans, nuclear medicine, ultrasounds, x-rays, and more. We have 3 easily accessible locations in the Kingston area and 1 in Ocho Rios. With our mission to provide exceptional and affordable healthcare, Apex Radiology is a clear choice for your diagnostic needs.
Welcome to the Q1 2024 earnings call for Image Plus Consultants Limited, also known as Apex Radiology. I am Renee McDonald, COO of L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, and your moderator for today. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Keisha Anderson, the CEO of IPCL.
Hi, Renee. Morning and morning to the community at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest.
Hi, Keisha. It is always a pleasure to have you with us. I will hand over to you right now so you can jump right into your call.
Okay, great. Thank you. As we did the last time, let's begin with a word of prayer and just ask God to cover us. All right? So let us pray. Father God, we give thanks for today, a new day filled with new opportunities and possibilities. We thank you, dear Lord, for every member, shareholder, member of the Image Plus team, and our partners, our patients, and our referring doctors. We thank you, dear Lord, for the opportunity to serve our land, Jamaica. We know, dear Lord, that sometimes you only see a part of the picture. Challenges may be many, but we know you go ahead of us. And even as we go through this call, it's as that you go ahead of us. Guide and protect every person participating and all that concerns them. In your precious name I pray. Amen. Thank you, Renee. Okay, welcome to all our shareholders and your community members. I think I could just jump straight into the agenda. I will be presenting in the main today, starting off with some remarks and the financials, and we look at our environmental, social, and governance, a little bit about the future, and we'll welcome your questions. Joining me with your questions will be Marcia Dolphy to answer them, our chief accountant. She's not able to be on camera today, but you'll hear her and she will answer. And she's also going to give a little insight into the cash flow statement. So we can begin. I am happy that the top line of our performance continues to do well. So for the first quarter of this new financial year, our revenues grew to 300.2 million, which is an increase over prior year that was at 281 million. Our net profit had a little bit of a mixed fortune in that the net profit went down. It was 71.7 million in the first quarter of the last financial year, and it went down to 64.1 million, which also would have impacted our earnings per share. I said I'm happy to report and start with the revenue though, because that to me proved that our focus on continuing to grow and enjoy the confidence of our referring doctors and patients is there. Our revenues actually were impacted, notwithstanding the growth, they were impacted because we had a CT unit down in Kingston. The unit was down for a much longer time than we anticipated. We actually have a KPI with our internal management team where we monitor how long a unit is down, and the unit was down for the better part of the entire quarter. It was a part that is not normally challenging to get, but it was challenging for the supplier. And what we decided to do is to actually widen our pool of suppliers and potential partners in this regard so that we don't have this situation recurring. To compensate, however, what we did is that because we have redundancy with more than one CT machines in Kingston, then we extended our opening hours at the location where the CT was up and functioning, and that helped to offset somewhat. But the 300, even though it was growth over last year, would have been a little less than what we had even targeted for ourselves. So getting back to normalcy faster is going to be critical to continue to see the level of growth in revenue that we want to see. Outside of that, then we would see from the director's statement in our quarterly results that our admin expenses went up by about 26.3 million. Of that amount, about 3 million was associated costs with now being a public entity. Some of them are expected to continue, but the large bulk of them would be one-time costs. That would be, for example, like our directors, retainers, etc. We also had costs of about 4 million with some other one-off things, setting up the new marketing, etc. for Ocho Rios' new location that we had moved last year, but there are some other things just to ensure that our patients could continue to find us. And we also had the equipping of the location, some other things to do to get ready for the new modalities that are coming, which I'll talk about in a minute. Outside of that, the rest of the increase was just a new rental cost with Ocho Rios, a much larger location, as well as our staff costs going up because we had growth in staff and we had an inflationary adjustment for our team members. To be truthful, the increases were budgeted, even the one-off, but because our revenue was a little off, that is why you would see the net profit figure being a little lower than last year. It's something that we're watching closely, even though we had planned and we're being prudent to manage our expenses. We're watching closely to ensure that the second quarter we don't see a similar type of fall off. I think I would also want to say that another part of our focus going forward will be on inventory management. We actually do have a policy where some of the items that could be impacted by any supply chain issues that we actually did that during this period. But we want to look generally at our overall inventory management to ensure that we are being prudent while at the same time ensuring that we're managing our costs. I think I would move on now from this slide and go to the next thing, Renee. Thank you so much. Looking now on our statements, each one on our balance sheet statement, you will see increases in our property, plant, and equipment. And of course, this would have to do with the leasehold improvements at the Ocho Rios location, as well as the fact that since the last quarter, or the prior year first quarter, we would have bought a fluoroscopy machine at our Winchester location, so that would be the increase there. Our trade and other receivables, which I anticipate to get some questions about, would also have increased significantly year over year. So as we continue to grow our scan volume, and I should say that our scans for the quarter grew from 13,789 in the prior year to 14,792 in this year first quarter. So as we continue to grow the scans, and of course we continue to grow from all different types of patients, and one of our larger payers, we saw a significant increase. Now, you may wonder as an investor, but is that not concerning to both management and the board? And what I'm going to say is that we've been very, very deliberate in ensuring that we have definitive payment timelines and that we have commitments in place. And I'm happy to say that at this point, a significant portion of the trade and receivables has been paid down. I mean, quite significant, almost 50% of the figure that you see here. So we're confident that the pay will continue to meet their obligations as committed to us. Our borrowings would have gone up because, of course, by the time we had borrowed for the fluoroscopy machine purchase, or trade and other payables, it's really a timing thing because we would have done more scans, we would have had more fees to be paid. The rate that we paid to our radiologists did not increase, but we just have more because of the quantum of scans that were done. And we actually, the amount that we pay them will be calculated on the last day, and we paid the first week of the new month. So this amount would have been reduced as well. And outside of that, it will be per the other credit terms that we have with our other suppliers. Share capital, of course, because of the IPO, and retained earnings would have increased because of our continued performance and growth in profits. Thanks, Renee. All right. So we went through already the revenue. The gross profit would have gone up. Explaining some of that, some of the imaging supplies would have been also captured in the gross profit line. That's why the increase wasn't as significant, and the inventory management plan should capture that. So as a result, I would have said that our profit before tax went down somewhat, and our net profit went down somewhat, resulting in the earnings per share impact that you see there. You can move on now, Renee. Thank you. All right, so our cash flow, I'm just going to cut over to Marcy and ask her to just quickly go into the cash flow and what would have caused the movements that are here.
Yes, morning everyone. As you know, the cash flow represents cash fluctuations within the business and outside of the business over a specific period of time. So when we're looking at the net cash used in operations, it decreased by a significant amount, and that is due to mainly we had a lot of payments for income tax, and we had also some increase in receivables. So we did not have that fund in house in order to for operations at the time. And that's because of our significant payer that has a large balance on our receivables. The net cash used in investments that increased year-over-year, May, and that of course is due to the IPO funds that we got in and the investments that we had based on that. The cash flow used in financing, it declined by a small margin, and that was because of the liquidation of some of the funds that we had on investments and the repayment of borrowings that we have, long-term loans. And the cash and cash equivalents, of course, increased over the time. 105%.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Renee. You can move on for me. All right. So outside of the numbers, which I'm sure we'll get to in the Q&A, what else was happening? So we took pride and continue to support our communities in which we serve patients. I would start first with our participation in St. Mary Agri Expo, being so close now to the border of St. Anne and St. Mary, and the branch being relatively new in that area. We thought it was a good opportunity just to get to meet with the patients and the population, or the potential patients of population in St. Mary. So we attended a new event there, the Agri Expo, which was on the Easter Monday, I believe it was, and it was quite successful in terms of just getting to know members of the community. We also supported in Kingston the Sunset Optimist Golf Tournament with sponsorship. As you can imagine, based on golf being a recreational activity, we had quite a few both referring doctors and patients who participate in that, and an appeal was made and we supported, given that they were going to use the funds for a good cause. And we also supported with the performance review celebrations of the nurses at one of the public hospitals in, I believe it was Anoto Bay. So we continue to participate and do our part in just ensuring that any good cause funds were available for them to do what they needed to do. We would have also participated in Relay for Life, which I believe could have been, I believe that was in June, I'm sorry, and this was up to May. So in the quarter, we tried our best to continue to support the activities that we thought were worthy. I'm happy to say too that as we continue to build out our governance as a newly listed entity, our corporate governance policy was actually approved by our board on May 31st, and it was adopted and ratified on June 28th, because it was a committee that approved on May 31st, adopted and ratified on June 28th, and is actually now uploaded to both our website and the Jamaica Stock Exchange. We have a very focused mentor, and our entire board is very focused on ensuring that when Stock Exchange has their awards for good governance, that Image Plus Consultants is up there. Our Ocho Rios branch, I wanted to just speak on now, because I'm very, very happy to say that though it is not in the quarter, but we had promised for it to be in the second quarter, our mammography unit is now up and running in our Ocho Rios location. So we put a picture of the team, because everything is about relationships and persons. And these are the persons who are going to help us launch the service. Seated is our branch manager sonographer, Mrs. Ramona Brown, and then we have Tina Thompson and Ms. Ann Thomas and Yashika Salmon, and there beside them is a representative from DISS Siemens, who actually came to do the application training. So the team has been fully trained, the machine and the unit is in. If you go to the next slide, Renee, the one right after this, please, and we can come back to this one. Thank you. That is an actual picture of the unit in the room. As we had said in the prospectus, we're going to procure 2 units. So Ocho Rios is in, and actual service will start today, the 24th of July. And the other unit is currently being installed in our Normalize location. We expect that service to start by the 2nd week in August. So what are our plans for this new modality? We intend to do a minimum of 250 screens per month in the first 3 months, and then we're going to work our way up to 450 screens. And this target, we believe, is reasonable. There is an opportunity for us to possibly do better, but this is what we're starting off with now. We're going to ensure that our consistent quality in terms of reporting is there, or radiologists continue to be accessible. With breast cancer screening, it's something that the patient is a little bit more anxious if that's a possibility about. And sometimes you have to, as soon as you do the mammogram, do an ultrasound, and we're able to offer both in the facility and even a biopsy if that is needed. Our pricing is affordable, and I'm really happy that this is something that we had set out to do and we're going to do. And I want to go back to the slide to say why I'm so happy about it, the slide right before. It's because when we think about breast cancer, and the reality is not a subject that's easy to talk about, but the reality of it is that from the Cancer Society, they told us that 43 out of every 100,000 women in Kingston and St. Andrew will develop cancer. Breast cancer is the #1 form of cancer among Jamaican women. 1 in 21 women will be diagnosed, and 60% of the diagnosis is in females between the ages of 25 and 69. The Cancer Society is able to do 6,000, just a little bit over 6,000 screens per year, which would be woefully inadequate if you think about the number of women in the population between the ages of 25 to 69 that need to be screened. So we're very, very happy to be able to do our part to offer this now to Jamaican women so that they can be screened. So we said we're going to do it, and we have done it, and we continue to move on towards other plans that we have. Renee, could you move on for me now? So what are the other plans that we said? So we had indicated that we were going to be looking for a new location for 3A Winchester Road operations, and I'm very, very happy to say that we found that location. And I was hoping that I would have been able to surprise our shareholders and say that the sale was complete, but we're not quite yet complete. So I'm still going to hold a little close to our chest the exact location out our AGM on Friday. If we're a little further along in the process, then we will share a little bit more about it. But the location has been procured, and so the plans would be afoot. I would have done some interviews and indicated our timeline in terms of getting all our approvals and starting construction in January 2024, and that's still the plan that we're working towards. An increase in revenues will come just because of the addition of another modality. And then I had spoken earlier about the need to look at our receivables, just the process to ensure that there's nothing else we can do to bill faster, especially when we have those large payers, because if we bill faster, it will reduce the timeline, and also inventory management and our patient experience. The last one I take not for granted, because though we believe that we're offering a good service, and when we were doing our annual report, we thought of asking some of our patients for testimonials, and we really got overwhelming support. We got more than we were able to actually put in the magazine. You always have to aim to continue to do better and better, and continue to aim for excellence. And so our patient experience review is just ensuring that along every step of the way, that our patients remain happy, and that our productivity actually improves as we're able to turn around our examination rooms faster in between patients. That will also reduce the patient wait time. So those are the things that we plan on doing. Our business is one that I tell our team every day, that we have to keep focused on who's on the other end of every phone call, on the other end of every visit is a patient who is doing diagnostic imaging because something may not be perfect, and we want to ensure that the service that we deliver to them and who we are being is consistent with making a difference in their lives in that regard. So I think that's what I would want to kind of sum up and say, Renee. And then, of course, if our shareholders or your audience has any questions, then we'd be happy to take them. I'm not hearing you. I'm not sure why our internet is failing
No,
us.
that's
I'm not
okay.
hearing you.
That's okay. I'm here.
Good.
It should be good. My apologies. So yes, thank you so much for that comprehensive review. As always, we can depend on you to give us good information with each call. So as we aim to give even greater value to your stakeholders, we're going to dive into the questions that have been submitted. All right. So the first one is from L.E.A.R.N, and I think you might remember him from your last earnings call. How long was the downtime for the CT machine, and will this continue to be a recurring issue?
Okay, so in our industry, downtime of machines is unfortunately something that can happen because of the sensitivity of the machines. To be honest, this downtime was the longest we've ever had, and that's why we quickly jumped into action and tried to compensate by ensuring we're extending the service at the other location. We're able to continue offering CTs. It was about 2.5 months for the better part of the entire quarter, and that is quite unusual. Really, I can disclose the part was a tube, a CT tube, and normally you identify it and it's brought. They were having some challenges identifying it from GE and actually getting it to a freight forwarder so that it could be brought to Jamaica and implemented. So that's the longest we've ever had it done. But what we've done now is we've identified other suppliers to ensure that we can get to normalcy much faster. In the past, I think before maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks would have been the longest would have been down, and we certainly weren't happy with the amount of time. And if you think I wasn't happy, the team members were even more unhappy than I was, because they're like, we need to keep busy. This is not the pace we're accustomed to. So yes, that's the question.
Yes. So before we go on to the next question,
we've identified additional vendors.
Okay, wonderful. So before we move on to the next question, I wanted to follow up on that one. So typically with machines, systems, etc., the downtime, though expected, there is usually a KPI, some sort of max, some sort of target to say this is where we want to be in terms of a target, because we understand that things will go wrong. But what do you have that KPI in place, and what is that downtime target or expectancy for you as a company?
Sure. So it really depends on what the issues that cause the downtime. So we are one of the fortunate imaging entities to actually have a biomed and IT team on site. And they really can do all the first line level diagnosis and identification of issues. And you will find if it's things for the X-ray machine or nuclear medicine machine, those we normally are able to deal with them in-house, or ultrasound machines. We really deal with in-house, and the downtime may be a maximum of a day. So the KPI on that may be a day, unless it is a part that has to be sourced and it's going to take longer. But for the CT units, depending on if they're under warranty or not, the amount of time we have to rely on a third party to also come and give an assessment and identify the part. The KPI that we were using practice was 2 weeks. We're ensuring that we're identifying another vendor that can help us to meet that 2 KPI. And you might say 2 weeks, that might be long. It takes some time to identify the part and then to actually have the part shipped to Jamaica. If it is a part that we enjoy the benefit of a duty waiver under the omnibus legislation that all diagnostic imaging facilities do, then it may take 3 weeks, because the duty waiver process through the Ministry of Health takes about 6 or 7 working days.
Understood. Thank you so much for that. The next question is, what was the biggest increase in your cost of sales? All right. It seems we're having a little technical difficulty from Keisha's side. We'll give her a moment to rejoin the call and get back on track. In the meantime, we would love to invite you to add any other questions in the comment section, and to also share this earnings call with other stakeholders or anyone else who would be interested in possibly becoming shareholders of IPCL. All right. I think she's back.
Yes, I'm sorry. Technology is failing us, right?
I know. We're back. We're grateful that it wasn't a longer delay. So thank you for that. We'll jump right back in where we left off. Question 3 from Elaine is, what was the biggest increase in your cost of sales?
Oh, and Renate, you were going again. Can you just repeat? Okay, I see. I'm seeing the question
Yes.
now. Yes, it would
Great.
have been our medical supply costs. It would have been the medical supply costs. And as I was trying to explain when I was giving the overview, in that we made a deliberate decision for some of the things that could be impacted by our supply chain to actually buy those ahead, and so we're going to look at our entire process around that. And determine what we may need to adjust to ensure that we are still being wise and buying ahead the inventory, but not stocking up in excess than we need to.
Understood. What was the percentage contribution to revenue from the new location in Ocho Rios, and do you expect this to drastically increase in the coming months?
Okay, so I can promise to have that information for HM or at another point, but I wouldn't have that right on hand right now. We are just looking at a branch profitability scenario, but our Ocho Rios location tends to be the second highest revenue generating location and has been consistently so. And how I like to look on things like this, when you put money into preparing for the future, is that, remember, this is a location we're going to add MRI and mammography. Mammography is in now. It's also a location that is suited for growth in terms of the square footage that we have and how we've laid out that our public patients that come to the hospital have a separate entrance and an ambulance bay for them that they can be dealt with, different from our private patients. And we actually had to build a facility to allow our radiographers to be on call overnight and have somewhere to stay, that kind of thing. So we've built out, there's been nothing else needed for that location now. So it's only to have the equipment work for us to service, keep at the level that it is, and ensure that our doctors and the patients find favor with us to keep choosing us for their processes.
Understood. And thank you for that. Again from Elaine, is the contract with the MOH, Ministry of Health, at political risk in the event that there is a change in the government?
Okay, so I'm happy to say that the public-private partnership that the Ministry of Health has now with diagnostic imaging entities, they always had some version of it. I think I had shared at some other conversation that even before, what I'm told would happen is that we would bring in machines, and then the cost of duty that was forfeited before the omnibus legislation, then we would offer that in service to public patients. So it has survived. That was as far back as in the early 2000s. It has survived multiple administrations. So I don't think that it's at risk. I also think that if you look at our current healthcare system, the Type A hospitals will probably be upgraded to include some basic diagnostic imaging services, but we have many other sites outside of Type A and clinics that will need patients to be referred for diagnostic imaging. So I don't think there is a challenge with that. I like to think that all of the players in this business are actually serving the Jamaican people, and it is something that is required. And so our contracts are in place, legally binding, so I don't expect that it's going to be impacted by any kind of change in administration if there were to be one.
And I think that's encouraging for stakeholders. Does IPCL have a dedicated marketing team? And if yes, what are the steps being taken to increase exposure to medical tourism? Again, from Elaine.
Okay, all right. So yes, we do have a dedicated marketing team. Again, just like we have a dedicated biomed and IT team, we're one of the few entities that do have that. We have a focus. Some of the team members focus, and I say some like it's a lot, right? It's really 3, and 2 who are actively on the road. One focuses on our private relationships, and the other on our public relationships. at this point in time, we do enjoy already from their efforts some amount of medical tourism. We have patients coming in from Turks and Caicos, and there is one other island, and they stand out because we have patients from those places every single week. We know there's an opportunity for growth and to build out even further. We're going to ensure that the needs that they have, we're able to supply, and that will be something that I think you'll hear more about in the next financial year in terms of our efforts. If you think about it, this year we're building out the modalities, adding the two that we didn't have before. We're looking at a location build out, and then we'll move into how we expand outside of Jamaica.
And thank you for that. In the previous earnings call that you would have done with us, you did mention that there was some consideration in terms of how to expand outside of Jamaica, coming out of a question from one of your shareholders. So it is good to hear that there has been some movement and additional information available there.
Okay.
Yes. So Elaine again is asking, well, he states there was a $45 million increase in borrowings. And then he asks, can you explain what this was used for and at what interest rate?
Okay, all right. So it was used for the purchase of the fluoroscopy machine last year. So we had an older unit that was about 19 years old, and so we bought a new one, which we would significantly reduce any kind of downtime and replacement of parts. And we are one of the few entities that still offer those kind of services, and that's not offered in the public system. So it's very, very important. In terms of the interest rate, I'm trying to see if Matthew can give me the exact rate, but it is quite attractive and competitive. If I get it, Renita, I'll come back to that.
All right, no problem. From our community, what is the standard payment timeline for customers who receive credit?
Okay, so it really depends on the customer. So for our insurance settlement, payer settlements, that's normally within 2 weeks or 14, actually 3 weeks because 14 business days. For our contract with the Ministry of Health, it's normally within 60 days. We have some doctors who send their patients and we offer credit service and the doctors will settle with us. That's normally within 30 days.
Thank you for that. What's the strategy to increase the number of scans quarter over quarter?
Well, we think that the biggest thing that we have in our favor is the quality of what we do, both the quality of our reporting and the quality of the patient experience that they have with us. So our marketing team goes out, and also our branch teams, either a supervisor or an Ocho Rios or branch manager, will go out and interact with both public and private referring physicians and promote our services. Outside of that, we do some social media advertising. We do have some billboards around the place, and we do some sponsorships on some traditional media radio programs that we believe the listenership is high and our exposure will increase as a result of it. We are also looking for the future, some other activities with our doctors, so doctor to doctor, to figure out, if that will also aid as we also build our brand as being expert in the field of radiology and having them understand some more of what we offer, how it can help them in diagnosing and treating their patients.
Thank you so much. From Omar, what is the payment timeline from insurance brokers?
Oh, from insurance, I think I'd answered the question earlier when you generally about the payment timeline. So for insurance companies, it's, as I said, 14 days. So I'll call it about 3 weeks.
And are you with us, Keisha?
I don't know why the internet is giving us such a run for money this morning. Yes,
Okay,
I don't know why the
hearing
insurance
you.
the internet. All right, the loan rate that was asked for is at 6 3/4, 6.75%.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Philip is asking, will you have stereotactic biopsies available with these new mammo machines?
Oh my, Philip, the MD has not yet come behind my name. So I really don't know about that particular biopsy, but I could try and find out for you an answer before the end of the call.
Okay, that would be great. From our community, are there plans to have an employee stock purchase program?
No, because we had found that the setup of that and administration is actually quite expensive now, and given the size of our team. So what we had done is that we had when we were listing, and I imagine that at some point, we haven't thought about it yet, that it is possible that with performance rather than a payment in cash, you could look at some kind of stock payments, stock
Yes.
options for employees as a performance incentive. But we haven't given that thought yet. It's just something that is possible in the universe.
Okay, so you had gone blank for a moment. You said when you were listing, we didn't hear what
Oh,
happened when you were.
we had offered our team members to purchase in the reserve pool so that what they wanted could be guaranteed.
Fantastic.
So that's what we've done so far. Mm-hmm.
And we do recall that from January of this year. Also, I did want to rewind a bit. You had mentioned possibly responding to something at the AGM, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity to share with your stakeholders on this platform when that is happening and how they can participate.
Sure. So the AGM is on Friday, July 28th. That's this Friday at 10 o'clock at the Terra Nova Hotel Pavilion Suite, I believe. And if you are a shareholder, you can register prior to join. And, I really should know the details of the registration, but I can't say that I do right now. But if you go to our website, I'm sure it's there, and it would have been in the AGM notice, which is also posted on the stock exchange. So they can register to join. It's mixed, so you can join online or you can come and join us in person.
Thank you so much for that. And yes, the information is very much there, and it is also available in the annual report. So everyone has access to either join online or register to be there in person. So thank you so much for that, Keisha. And I'm checking. Yes, we do have more questions. So do you, Keisha, as CEO, plan to increase your position in the company? You got this question the last time, and it's being asked again. So over to you for that one.
But I think in your community, somebody's seen some money in my future, and I'd like to bless that person for blessing me. Oh my gosh. So how will I answer that question now? I guess my husband and I, we have 2 kids in university overseas. So I guess as funds allow, we will. But it is a company that I definitely think is undervalued. I think the share price should somewhere be in the region of $4. So as soon as I have more funds, I certainly will be buying. I haven't sold any, even though the share price is trending in the right direction. I haven't sold $1 because it's still undervalued. There's still more value.
Notes being taken, I'm sure. Marlene is asking, how do your prices compare with those in the USA or other Caribbean islands?
Oh, we are very, very affordable compared to the USA. Very, very affordable. I can't say we have really checked with other Caribbean islands. That will be something to do, Marlene. But we've checked against the US kind of standard pricing, and we're very, very affordable.
And I think this is our last question in the queue. What went into the decision to have the first mammogram machines be at the Ocho Rios and the Malines locations?
All right, so it was pretty straightforward. We looked at 3 things. We looked at 1, the population, and just in terms of the sizes and the growth in the population sizes and the age of persons based on statin data, even though it's a little outdated, as we know the census is past due. So we looked at that to figure out the size of the target market. We looked at other providers who are offering the services in that market. And we also looked at practically just where we'd be able to put it and be able to afford our patients the experience. Ocho Rios is our only location outside of Kingston, and then of course we have to have it in Kingston. It is envisaged that as a need may be with growth, we may have to have another one in Kingston, but for now we think that 1 will suffice.
All right. Thank you so very much for answering our questions and the questions from your stakeholders and our community. I will hand over to you. Okay. There's a comment here that a shareholders discount would be nice.
Yeah,
So there's a
that's not a bad idea, That's not a bad idea. So it could be something that we have in the very near future. I'm sure that our marketing manager is listening, and I'm sure that, we offer discounts for other groups of persons. Not a bad idea at all. So hopefully something soon to announce.
Absolutely. So thank you for your recommendations. As our community, you may realize by now that IPCL is open to your suggestions and your recommendations. So we thank you for participating. I will hand over to Keisha now for her closing remarks. And I just want to again say thank you for joining us. Thank you for making L.E.A.R.N, Grow, Invest, LGI, the platform of choice for your earnings call, Keisha and team.
Thank you. Thanks so much to you, Renita and Jermaine, for your support. What I'd say to our shareholders, I'd say the future continues to be very bright. At this point in time, I see the company on a steady growth path. I see a lot of opportunities for us. I am very pleased that the things that we promised our shareholders, we have been delivering on. I know that we talk about numbers and revenue and scans. And what I want you to know is that what makes a difference is the fact that we are very conscious of, on the other side of every request we get is a patient and somebody who needs this service and needs it to be done quickly and needs it to be done with quality. And for that reason, we continue to enjoy the confidence of not only our referring physicians, but patients, and our word of mouth growth is actually increasing. And we see people even coming with referral forms for different entities, but choosing us. We remain committed to keeping people at the forefront of all we do and to ensuring that the entire experience with Image Plus Consultants Limited is something that would make you, if possible, reduce some of the anxiety you have just coming to do a diagnostic imaging scan that we offer. For shareholders, management is focused on delivering value to you, and we are cognizant of the fact that even though we have been around for over 27 years, that the company has a long runway ahead in terms of growth and a lot more to offer. We're going to get some of the things that we have put in place with the new modalities, etc. this year, and then next year we're going to think of what are the things that are going to cause us to be the company that's going to be around in another 25, 30 years, making a difference for healthcare in Jamaica and the Caribbean. So we thank you for your continued confidence. We thank you for partnering with us. And as I said, as soon as I get the opportunity, I'll buy more shares. It's not investment advice, but the share is undervalued and the future is very bright. So thank you very much. Have a great week. Blessings, and everybody keep safe.
With over 20 years in providing quality service, Apex Radiology is Jamaica's premier diagnostic facility. Our services include CT scans, nuclear medicine, ultrasounds, x-rays, and more. We have 3 easily accessible locations in the Kingston area and 1 in Ocho Rios. With our mission to provide exceptional and affordable healthcare, Apex Radiology is a clear choice for your diagnostic needs.